All this talk about the blood of Zeus kind of got me thinking. I wonder what kind of Greek god I'm most like. Yep. I'm definitely a Stamos. Now, before we get too deep into this review, go ahead and hit the subscribe button for me and turn on notifications. I come out with new content every week. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of anime in the world. However, I've always appreciated the artistic approach that it takes. It takes a lot of chances when it tells its stories, and I think in the case of Blood of Zeus, those chances that it takes mostly pay off for the best. Now, if you've ever seen the Castlevania miniseries on Netflix and you enjoyed it, then I highly recommend that you also watch Blood of Zeus. What I'm going to do for this review is I'm going to try to keep this as spoiler-free as possible by simply referring to certain themes in the miniseries and basic common knowledge of Greek mythology as well to make my points. Blood of Zeus is based on ancient Greek mythological culture. Sometimes today when we read these ancient Greek stories, they can come across as being a bit bizarre. However, I still maintain that the meaning behind these stories very much carries a heavy weight in our modern-day sensibilities. For example, we still connect with Achilles' rage in the Iliad, and I think in the Odyssey we still marvel at Penelope's brilliance in making sure that the suitors that are chasing her can't just continually loom over her. Get it? When we're introduced to our main hero of the story, a young man named Heron, we come to learn that things are quite difficult for him. In fact, things are quite difficult for both him and his mother. This shouldn't be too much of a shock for anyone who's even remotely interested with these ancient Greek hero stories. Oftentimes the heroes have difficult births or horrible childhoods in some way. Perseus and his mother are cast out into the sea, and of course Heracles is visited by serpents when he's just a baby. That might actually be the most accurate thing that happens in that film. Now, what's interesting to me is that Blood of Zeus takes a bit more modern-day look at ancient Greek heroism. Normally, we get some sense of the young hero's greatness early on. In fact, it can sometimes just be foretold through the act of prophesying, but we don't really get that here. Rather, we kind of grow and mature with Heron, and we learn along the way that he needs to cast away the doubts that he has and start building up his confidence as a hero. But that's a little bit of a departure from that ancient Greek tradition. Think about the story of Oedipus Rex, for example. Right up front, we're told that Oedipus is going to kill his father and marry his mother. This gives us an interesting sort of story arc to go through in these ancient Greek tales because we spend much of it trying to think about how much autonomy we really have against something like fate. Now, in some ways, I actually wish that the authors of Blood of Zeus kind of went the old traditional route and sort of told us up front that Heron was going to be great. He was going to be something spectacular and grow into his potentiality. This would have added an additional element of frustration for us, but a good kind of frustration because we will know where he needs to end up and then we can just sort of enjoy how he's going to get there, as opposed to sort of growing with him and sort of seeing the up and down movements of his confidence, which can at times be a little bit, I think, too much. Where I think that this miniseries really shines, however, is in the relationship between the gods themselves. You see, oftentimes in films and TV shows, the ancient Greek gods tend to come across either muddled or really too much subdued. For example, the film Troy with Brad Pitt is, to me, an absolute train wreck. The gods are barely even there, and they play a huge role in the actual Iliad. And I don't think I need to say very much about the Disney Hercules story. Although I'm not going to lie, I actually really like the music from Disney Hercules. I can go the distance. The gods in Blood of Zeus are fickle, argumentative, and selfish, led mostly by monomaniacal visions of what works best simply for them, which is quite true to many of the stories in ancient Greek mythology. They do show mercy to some of the characters in the miniseries, but it's usually more strategic than anything else. as if the humans are simply pieces of a grand game of chess that's being played on Mount Olympus. This is actually how I like my Greek mythology gods to be: self-motivated. So what's our silver lining for the miniseries? Well, we often tell our children that they are great and that they can do great things. However, something that the Greek culture got that many don't is that greatness does not equal perfection. Greatness does not mean that one's going to be happy, and greatness certainly does not mean that things are going to come easily. In fact, greatness often comes with immense anxiety, the need to constantly prove one's worth over and over again. It also often means experiencing, oftentimes, great failure and loss, which is something that we try to shield our children from most of the time. Now, I don't think you can uncouple or unlink the two. I think we need to experience great failure in order to achieve great feats. Therefore, if we're going to instill within our children the notion that they should strive to be great at something, we should simultaneously prepare them for great failure. The good news is that these failures that we experience often become our greatest teachers. When placed in the proper context and reflection, they can become tools that can really forge us into something better than we thought we could ever be. So, go out there. Tell the children, tell all the children to fail. Fail hard. Because, honestly, those same failures can probably lead to their greatest successes. Until next time, viewer, treat each other with kindness. You never know if that person you're talking to just might be a god in disguise.